Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam, and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies. And on this week's Flicks of the Week, Ben Mendelsohn does a sexy dance, Tom Hardy has a parasite,
I have a parasite,
Steve Carell wears heels, Lee Marvin loses his shit, and my next podcast guest gets really sick. And this is the last Flicks of the Week episode of the year. I will be back in early 2019 with more Flicks of the Week. There will be a couple more episodes on the channel though, a couple more lists. There are some westerns I want to tell you about. There are some just really good movies I want to list out on Amazon Prime as well. So I will be doing that between now and Christmas, maybe the week of. But don't expect a lot of content between now and New Year's, but then I'll be back in full force. But starting off this list on HBO, I've actually got a movie directed by Ryan Gosling, if you can believe that. Now, this one really flew in under the radar. It's called Lost River, but it's got a really good cast. Like I said, Ben Mendelsohn's in it, Christina Hendricks, Eva Mendes. Really cool, sort of fantasy movie. It does not take place in our reality. It was filmed in Detroit. It's about a city that is disappearing, so Detroit is like the perfect place for that. And it's a low-budget movie. You would not expect that a big movie star did it, but it's sort of a passion project of his. I actually followed the production of this. I may or may not have actually auditioned for this movie, which is maybe why I like it. It's maybe not quite as deserving as much love as I have, yet it is a good watch. If you like Drive, if you like some of the cool stuff Ryan Gosling has been in, to me, this movie's almost a little bit cooler. It's really kind of, it goes for it in ways some other movies don't. So if you like that type of stuff, this is definitely one you may have missed that I wish you didn't, but check it out. It's on HBO. And if that movie's too small, one of the biggest movies of the year just got added to HBO, Ready Player One. This one to me was a little bit too much of a crowd pleaser, but that is to be expected with a huge budget movie like this. That said, it is a visually stunning movie. It's a really great adventure. Considering that it's Steven Spielberg, it misses some of the magic that his early films really had, unfortunately, but it still is pretty good, especially if you don't know that it's Spielberg. It's a pretty good flick, so I recommend watching it. I just know that I would have been a little bit disappointed if I forked over $12 to see it in the theater, yet watching it on HBO, it's hard to get much better than that right now. Real quick on STARZ, and then I'll get to some rental picks and theater picks for the week. Monsters University is not the type of movie I would normally recommend, but it is a Pixar movie that did well when it came out, but is kind of not appreciated as much as it should be. I don't recommend family movies that much on the channel, but I'm telling you, with the holidays coming up, if you've got kids, nieces, nephews, whatever, if you're going to be watching family-friendly content over the holidays and you have access to STARZ, Monsters University is an incredible follow-up to Monsters, Inc. It is a prequel. It's about them going to college to scare school. I don't know why I used air quotes, but my son absolutely loves it, and it is a very good story, really well told, impressive visuals. I've watched it with him a few times, and I've yet to get bored with it. Now for rentals, Venom comes out this week. It's good enough to watch, maybe good enough to rent. I did see it in the theater and I did do a review. If you're interested in seeing that, there is a link to that in the description. So I won't really go into it too much here, but because it's PG-13 and it is about an incredibly violent and just merciless anti-hero and villain in the Marvel Universe, it's such a neutered movie, it really is disappointing. Tom Hardy's good in it, and I like him in everything. Some of the visuals are great, but it's just not the movie it could have been. In fact, it feels a little bit rushed, but like I said, if you want to know more of my thoughts on that, links in the description, but if you're into this sort of thing, it could be worth a rental. It is not terrible, it's just not very good. Additionally, this week, The Predator and Assassination Nation both come out, available on Blu Ray and rental. I heard mixed things about both. I did not get a chance to see either one of them or review them because of budgetary constraints and because I have a full-time job. You know that if you're a long-time viewer of the show. The more support I get, meaning the more of you that watch this video all the way through, share it, like it, support me on Patreon, the closer I'm going to get to my goal for doing this independently. And when that happens, there will be a ton more movie reviews. It'll be very rare for me to miss movies like this. So look forward to that in the future. Hopefully, maybe sometime in 2019. In the theater this week, Aquaman comes out. Aquaman While I'm not excited about it, it does look like it has the potential to be the best we've seen from DC since they sort of have rebranded everything. I'm a fan of Jason Momoa. I liked the Aquaman character in Justice League, even though I did not like that movie. I did think Aquaman was one of the better elements, and the movie does look fun. Aquaman looks fun. It looks like they're trying to capture some of the magic that Black Panther had earlier in the year with these big battles with animals, of course, these animals being sharks and things like that. But you attach weapons and bridles to sharks. You're going to put some butts in the seats, and I'm sure this movie's going to do really well over the holiday weekend. If you're interested in that one, let me know in the comments below. And then Welcome to Marwen is more of the award bait movie that's coming out for Christmas. It stars Steve Carell. It's about a real guy who was beat within an inch of his life, and then to sort of cope with it, he's an artist, and he started making these installations with Barbie dolls and sort of doing like this wartime stuff. I will say, though, the trailer is deceiving a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of people will go see this movie, and they should enjoy it, but they put in a little clue in there, and it's that the Steve Carell character, his action figure, is wearing high heels as he's dancing with some of the girls. The reason this guy was beat within an inch of his life is he was a cross-dresser, and there's a documentary that's really, really good called Marwan Call, I believe is what it's called. I'll put a link to the trailer for that in the description below. It comes on and off of streaming services. I'm sure they're making you pay for it now because of the popularity of the movie. I'm sure the movie will be good. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did Back to the Future, Forrest Gump. Like, he's an amazing director, so I'm sure the movie will be good, but I just know for a fact there are going to be a lot of people scratching their heads as they progress through this movie because they have no idea what they're walking into. Real quick, if you like this type of content, definitely click that subscribe button and be sure to click the little bell icon so you get notified when I put new videos out just like this one. But now it's time to move on to Amazon and Netflix, where I've got several recommendations each. I very recently talked about a movie called Texas Cotton. I reviewed it, recommended it. It just released recently and even had the star, George Hardy, on the podcast, and the director, Tyler Russell, was my guest last week. Well, Texas Cotton is now available, included with Prime. If you're a Prime member, you can watch it for free. If you want to check out those interviews, that review, links to all of those are in the description below. But this is a really good little Texas crime movie that I do recommend my viewers check out, as well as all the additional content on my channels for it. Amazon Prime also just recently released a bunch of really classic movies. I'm going to be doing more videos with full comprehensive lists on the movies I recommend you watch from classic genres, but one I just cannot wait to talk about is Point Blank with Lee Marvin. Now, I own this movie. It's one of Lee Marvin's, I don't want to say lesser known, but it's certainly not one of his more famous movies. But this is a really cool revenge movie. It's got this really amazing 1960s vibe where it's got some slightly psychedelic elements, some really cool editing that's a little bit trippy, and it's fairly intense. Like it is a cool movie. It's got a cool vibe. It is 100% my type of movie. Super excited to be able to recommend it here. I will be talking more about it, so look for a video on classic movies. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to title that or structure it, but that'll be coming out sometime soon, as well as my list of westerns, which are almost all classic movies as well. And then another pick from Amazon Prime is Wolfmother. Now, Wolfmother is a really cool but strange movie about a man and a prostitute who have this almost sort of a, without giving too much away, almost a sort of Bonnie and Clyde-ish type of a relationship. And this one really, really flew in under the radar, but I watched it, I enjoyed it. It is odd. There's graphic sex in it. I know some of you are going to love that. Others are going to be turned off by it, so I want to go ahead and warn you. But it's violence, a lot of sex, a lot of language. It is an edgy movie, but it also stars Najara Townsend, who is my most recent guest on the Flick Connection podcast. That's three podcast plugs for this episode, but Najara was incredible to talk to. You may recognize her from Contracted, which is what she's most noticeable from. But she actually has 95 IMDb acting credits, and she's not even 30 yet. So I really enjoyed talking to her. Very, very interesting person to talk to. Really kind of get to look behind the curtain with that podcast, and I recommend all my viewers go check it out. There's a link to the podcast and a link to that episode 30, in the description below as well. But wait till this video's over and then go watch it. And then on Netflix, a couple of movies that I have covered on the channel before, only because I covered all the best stuff that Netflix was adding to December. So these are some repeats, but two that I did not include in my best Christmas movies across all the platforms. A video I put out last week that nobody watched. Nobody. It got like the worst viewership on the channel at all, so that teaches me not to share Christmas movie recommendations with you people. And yet, here I am doing it again with Friday After Next, which is the third movie in the Friday series. I love the Friday series. Friday After Next is number 3, like I said, and it is a Christmas movie. Cat Williams makes an appearance in this one. So a funny movie to watch at Christmas, especially if you kind of like kind of the funny, the adult humor midnight movie genre. This is a great one to watch at Christmas. It'd be weird to watch this one any other time of the year. And then Reindeer Games is a cool little action movie. I say little because it's not huge. It's not Die Hard big, but it does have Die Hard vibes. It stars a young Ben Affleck, Gary Sinise, a very young Charlize Theron, and sort of this cool heist movie that takes place out in the snow. There's Santa costumes. There's a casino. All kinds of cool stuff. It's just kind of your again, a good like midnight movie, the type of thing if you stumbled across it late at night while you're channel surfing, you would stay on it and watch it. Since channel surfing is basically dead, and that's why I'm here, I gotta at least mention it. And then since I will not be here next week to give you any Christmas week recommendations, on Christmas Day, that's the 25th, if you're not into Christmas, Avengers Infinity War comes out. Now, again, if you're a long-time viewer, you know I'm not real big on the Marvel movies. I feel like we're watching the same thing over and over again. Avengers Infinity War stands out to me. It is very different. I have said it, though. If you haven't watched any of the others, or at least if you hadn't watched more than 2 of the other more recent Marvel movies, you're probably going to be lost on Infinity War because everything sort of comes together. And they tie a lot of things up and then open up new things. So you get introduced to a lot of characters that you've already should have been introduced to by now. So I can see where it would be confusing jumping into this one in particular. That said, if you have watched some of them and you just didn't care much about this one because you feel like you've seen the same movie over and over again, I would give this one a shot. It is pretty good. It's one of the better ones they've put out in a while. So be sure to check that out. Christmas Day, it's a nice little gift from Netflix, so you might as well take advantage of it. But that is it for the last Flicks of the Week of 2018. Sorry if there's not more fanfare. I plan on doing a lot more fun stuff in 2019. Holidays are sort of getting in the way, but like I said, I get closer and closer to that goal. The videos are going to become more and more fun. I've got plenty of ideas. I just got to get the time to do it. Again, if you want to support the show, you can buy a shirt like this one. I design all the shirts in the Teespring store. There's a link below. Patreon supporters get a free t-shirt from the store depending on which tier they pick. And if you are a recent Patreon supporter and you have not checked your messages, I have sent you a direct message asking you a couple of questions just to get some information from you so you can get your shirt if you qualify for one, and so I can put your name in the credits of all the future videos, but I need that information from you in order to move forward. So be sure to check it out. There are a handful of you that have not responded because you didn't know to do that. But thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon. It really, really does help. It gets me closer to that goal. If you can't do it, not a problem. Liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing. If you know someone that you think would benefit from movie recommendations and that might not be completely irritated by my personality, share it with them. Maybe they'll get a little benefit out of it, and maybe I will as well. But that is it. Thank you for checking out this episode, and I will keep making these in 2019 as long as you keep watching them, but you will see me on the next one.